Today is the first day of the rest of your life, and your future planning started yesterday. You need simple, easy strategies to create maximum results. This is The Scotty Show. Time to get your ducks in a row with Scott Leonardi, owner and president of Complete Solutions, Inc. As a certified financial fiduciary with 25 years in the planning industry, Scott helps educate you on how you can make the best decisions for your family and your finances, and helps you get your ducks in a row for your incredible future. Let's get started.
Hello and welcome to The Scotty Show with Scott Leonardi. Scott, it's so good to be back with you. How are you?
I am super good, but I'll get better. I'll get better, man.
During this podcast, he has vowed to get better. I love this.
That's exactly
It's a
right.
very short amount of time to do that.
Yeah, we don't do reverse. We go forward, man.
Okay, sounds good to me. Let's move forward, but I am going to go in reverse a little bit. Is that okay with you?
Oh, okay.
Just barely. So if you're just joining us, this is Scott's third podcast. This is episode 3 right here. And you just need to know about the first two. The first one was his inaugural, which really told you about his history in business, what got him started, why he's doing what he's doing. Also, we asked some personal questions so you can get to know him on a personal level. The second podcast was really about what does it look like if I'm interested in talking to Scott or his team from the time I pick up the phone to call in or I email in. What does that process look like from beginning to end? It's a fantastic podcast. Go back and listen to that so you know exactly what to expect when you do call in, because as you get educated, as you receive your education from Scott through these podcasts, you're going to find out, you know what, this is a guy I want to talk to. So make sure you do that. And we'll give out some contact information at the end of this show. But this show specifically is about the holistic approach to planning that Scott and his team firmly believe in. So my first question that I want to ask you, Scott, is what do you mean when you say holistic approach to planning? I think a lot of people have heard of a holistic approach to lots of different things. What do you mean specifically?
Well, Eric, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked that, because in today's society, holistic has started to become a buzzword with some companies. Some companies say, hey, we're holistic. Mm-hmm. And I don't even think maybe they really truly understand what that even means. But for 25 years, I've been talking holistic, meaning there's certain financial realities that affect everybody to some extent in retirement. And you have to discuss those realities and see how they all fit together. On one side, we're talking about your healthcare and how healthcare works. I call them the retirement big three, right? Healthcare planning, my Medicare, my other health insurance, prescription drugs. How does that all taper in? Then we talk about our retirement accounts. There's 2 stages of retirement accounts. The first stage is just accumulation. You're running through life trying to save as much money as you can, kids and braces and cars breaking down and all kinds of crazy stuff. And you're going to invest and you're going to buy stocks and bonds and take some risk and take some chances. Why? Well, you're 40. The market goes down. Guess what? Sooner or later, it'll do what? It'll come back, right? It'll come back, right? Yep. So that's the accumulation stage. But then you get closer to retirement, and now it's not necessarily all about accumulation. I mean, we don't want to make some money, but we also want to preserve what we have. That's kind of important to talk through. Any type of life insurance planning, what do we need? What type of life insurance should we have? There's times I tell people, get rid of what you got. Sometimes I tell people, well, you need to buy more. It all depends on what we're trying to accomplish with that. And of course, the area of long-term care and how that's affected home health care, how that it's affected people. These are the areas we have to talk about. So holistically, we have to talk about those things. I wrote this little book called The Duck Book. It's a great little planning guide. It's called the Retirement Planning Guide for the person turning 65 and beyond. And I'm actually working on another one now, the person turning 50 and beyond. But it's a great little guide, and you can call our office. We'll be happy to mail you one out. Get on my website, duckduckplan.com. You can order the book right on the website. We'll be happy to send it out to you. But it talks about looking at things from a holistic standpoint to be sure you got your ducks in a row. I mean, does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have a kind of a format that you follow?
Yeah, we absolutely do. So it's a holistic, simple process, but yet very strategic, meaning it's 3 steps. It's a discovery, design, and deploy.
All right, that sounds pretty simple. Obviously, you have it in the order discovery, design, deploy, if I'm not mistaken. Even before the discovery, like we covered on that last podcast, somebody calls in, they have questions, they want to meet with you, they have concerns. What do you find is the biggest concern that you hear most often from people?
Well, Eric, there's numerous concerns with healthcare, drug costs, all that kind of stuff. But probably the biggest concern folks have, listen, am I going to have enough money to last my entire lifetime? How is that all going to work out? And that kind of leads to their dilemma of when or if they should retire. And that's a sad situation, because people should gear towards building when they should retire and start enjoying that retirement. But they are very skittish of that because the money. They don't know if they're going to have the money to live.
Yeah. And I'm assuming that's really covered in that first step of discovery.
Absolutely right. Yep.
All right. So describe that to me. What does that discovery process look like?
We're to sit down with folks and kind of talk through their process. What coverages do they currently have? What is their income coming into the household, that guaranteed income? What is going out, their expenses? Through that process, I really like to get a handle of if people really step through a budget. It's kind of funny. A lot of times people in life, we make money, spend money, make money, spend money, make money, spend money, right? Or we make money, spend money, spend, right? That's the process. But really sitting down looking at the budget, a lot of people don't do that. And we have to kind of really project what they're going to need in retirement. And it kind of starts with what expenses they have today. So I'll refer people back to a budget sheet and say, listen, fill out this budget sheet. Let's go through this exercise. Because through that exercise, we're going to find out that you're spending some money on stuff that you probably don't necessarily need, that you can adjust if we need to make the adjustment to help your retirement plan. So discovery is crucially important, just to see where we're at.
Yeah, absolutely. But that leads me to another question. I've heard numbers thrown around for a very long time. I think every audience member's probably heard something either from a buddy or maybe they've heard it on a commercial. I don't know how much money I need to retire. I've heard, hey, you need to have $1 million saved up. I've heard you need to have $2 million saved up. And man, that seems like a huge amount and almost unattainable to a lot of people. What do you say?
That's kind of interesting. Everybody has their different perspective, right? Mm-hmm. And they come up with their different perspectives based on a whole variety of things, right? It kind of reminds me of this joke I heard not too long ago. This father, or this child walks into and talks to their father and said, hey, listen, Dad, how are people born? And so the father says, well, let's say pretty simply, Adam and Eve, they made babies. Those babies grew up, became adults, and those adults made babies, and so on and so on and so on. Very simple. The son said, okay, well, great. That sounds great. Left out of the room and went down the hallway to where the mom was at and asked the mom the same question. Well, the mom said, listen, we were monkeys, then we evolved, and we became like we are now. So the child walked out of there confused as heck, runs back to the father, tells the father what mom said, and said, Dad, you lied to me. This is what mom said. And the father said, no, your mom was just talking about her side of the family. But right. So my point is, everybody's got a different perspective on that. You know, and this money is the big perspective. I don't necessarily think it is the fact of how much money you got, or if you got a big pile of money somewhere. I think it's more about the guaranteed checks coming in. And your expenses going out. Now, it sure helps if you got a pile of money, right? Yeah. But it's about the budgeting, the guaranteed checks coming in, and the cash flow going out. So that's my perspective.
That tells me that it really goes back to that discovery process.
Sure does. Absolutely.
You've got to know those different things because,
you gotta know that.
Everybody's situation is different. So that's why it's so important to have that one-on-one phone call or meeting to be able to truly find out what's going on. So once you've discovered that, and you discover that somebody wants to have $5,000 a month in retirement, $10,000 a month in retirement, whatever, then I'm assuming we kick into that design phase.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The design, we want to come up with some simple, well thought out, strategic plans to get you on track if you're not on track. And then most importantly, we want to keep you focused to stay on track, right? To reach that ultimate goal. And we got to keep things simple and easy, right? Because I really truly believe simple and easy, that gets things done. If it's confused and complicated, people don't do it. So you can design the most beautiful plan in the world, but if nobody's executing it, you got a beautiful plan that's not doing nothing, right? Yeah. Designing that is crucial. And again, it could be simple as just adjusting and changing a certain part about your health care. Maybe it's something different about your investment strategy. Maybe it's a little bit of a tweak of how much money you're spending to save more money. So again, the beautiful thing about what we do is we really allow people to come in at whatever level they're at and figure out however they become comfortable with us, then we can focus on really getting them to their ultimate goal, which I think is important. That comfort level to the client is crucial.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What happens if you have a client that comes in and they're already working with a couple different professionals, maybe an estate planning attorney and an accountant that they use? How does that work when it comes to both the discovery and the design process?
Well, Eric, that's a great question. I'm excited when I hear people are actually working with a professional. They're working with an accountant. They're working with an attorney, because that means they're already getting their ducks in a row. So everything that we currently do or are going to do or recommend for them to do, we want to go back and talk to their accountant on that and their attorney and make sure it all completely gels with their plan.
Nice.
We're excited about that. Now, again, a lot of times people are in a situation where they're maybe not working with an accountant or they're not working with an attorney. Well, guess what? We have a team of planners at our company that can help them do that too. So if they got their own, that's great. If they don't, we can help them with that too. But we're happy to work with other professionals. That makes sense.
Yeah. Well, and that, as you said, that makes me think of something else. What if somebody comes to you and they already have an advisor and they want to talk to you just to kind of see if their advisor is doing the right thing?
I think that always makes sense. Nobody has the best perfect answer for every single topic. So guess what? You should be talking to a few different people. You should feel comfortable. You should be keeping people in check. Sometimes people say, hey, yeah, I'm working with an advisor. Okay, when was the last time you talked to that advisor? 3.5 years ago, right? Yeah. That's not working with somebody. You met that person one time. That's the one and done deal, right? But if you're truly working with somebody, listen, if you're comfortable with that person, stay with that person. It's your comfort level. But just make sure they've done a complete plan. Yeah. Eric, it's amazing to me when I sit down and talk to somebody and they say, well, we got a guy and we've had him for 15 years, or we got a girl, or whatever. And I started asking them questions about their Social Security and their income and what kind of expenses are going out and that kind of stuff. And they're looking at me perplexed because they've not heard some of these questions. And I'm like, didn't the advisor that you're working with, didn't the guy who's telling you what to do with your money, didn't he ask these questions? I mean, how can you advise somebody if you don't know what's coming in, what's going out? I mean, sometimes that's very perplexing to me. And I guess that's the reason is because a lot of people, they don't do a holistic plan. They're more singular in nature. They just handle the health insurance, or they just do the advising. Well, guess what? All that works together. I mean, so that's my take on that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's exactly why your second phase is the design phase. You want to make sure all the pieces are working together correctly. Once you've designed it, now your last one was deploy, if I'm not mistaken. What do you mean by deploy? Just start it?
Well, deploy is it. Action. Man, action. Action is the key. If we don't put it in motion and keep it in motion, nothing happens. I mean, you can have the most beautiful plan ever. I mean, you think about it at the beginning of the year. What do? You set New Year's resolutions. Great ideas. Sometimes people even write them all down. A great plan. They design something beautiful. But guess what? January 3rd, they haven't deployed anything. They haven't started the action. They haven't moved it in motion. And that's kind of the key. So not only do I want to help people put that plan into action, keep the motion going, but ongoing monitoring to adjust that over time because things change. Finances change. Lifestyles change. Things change. So we have to adjust that to keep it, again, focused on the most important thing, which is what is getting us to that end result, right? That end focus, that end goal.
Yeah, absolutely. And what is that end goal?
Well, that end goal is a wonderful, happy retirement. I call it the big adventure, right? I mean, so many people look at retirement and say, oh my God, I'm going to retire. That sounds horrible. You should be, I'm going to retire.
That's right.
That's how it should be, right? Because it's not an ending, it's a beginning, right? Yeah. I learned some pretty cool stuff with an educator. It was a pastor, and he talked about the great adventure and some different things. And they have to do some biblical stuff. But I thought, what a great concept. And that's it. The big adventure starts when you leave that job and you start focusing on the rest of your life. And people will spend a third of their life in retirement. So that is a big adventure. You should plan. You should focus on fun things, not only financial, but what are you going to do for fun? What are you going to do for volunteering? What kind of time are you going to spend with your family, right? It's the big adventure, man. It's the beginning. It's not the end. Welcome to the first day of the rest of your life. Boom, right? Are you with me?
I am. Yeah. Yeah. And again, I love the fact that discovery design has to play into that because everybody's end goal is different, right? The picture,
absolutely.
Whether they're going to work with charities, they're going to be very charitable, philanthropic in their later years, or maybe they have just a ton of kids who then have a ton of kids. Now they got tons of grandkids and great grandkids. And they want to bless them, and everybody has something different, or they just want to travel and spend every dime they ever made, which is totally fine too, right?
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah,
I mean, some people's dream retirement is just sitting in the lounge chair at the house and drinking iced tea and not leaving the house. They've ran out their whole entire life, traveled constantly. They just want to stay home and enjoy their wonderful house. Yeah. That's beautiful if it fits their goals. Other people want to go travel. Other people want to fish until there's no more fish in the water, right? And that's okay because it's their big adventure. It's their deal. And that's the key. And we have to understand how that kind of focuses. A quick little story. I met with this guy and he met with another planner before. And he said the planner didn't listen to me. He kept telling me. He didn't listen to anything. And then I did a little business with him. And then he sent me in the mail this beach blanket and a little bag of sand. And I'm like, what the heck is this? He looked at me and goes, I hate the beach. I hate the beach. I had one of my worst childhood experiences at the beach. I hate the beach. And he goes, that's a perfect example. This person didn't even listen to him, right? So it's about your goals and your focus, not what the planner wants to do, right?
That's hilarious.
So from then on, I don't ever send any beach towels to people.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
All right, so let me ask you this. We kind of started this off. You named one of the main concerns that you hear a lot is they don't want to run out of money. They want to make sure they don't outlive their money. How often do you see somebody struggling to spend the money once they're retired, even though they can? Is that something? Is that a conversation you have to have with people? Say, hey, look, you have the money and you have the time. Go do something.
Exactly right. Exactly right. When I have people that step through the budget worksheet process, I oftentimes say, listen, we need to create another category here, and it's going to be your travel fund or your vacation fund or whatever I found out that's important to them. I said we need to set aside money every single month, $400, $500, $600, and put it in this account, because if we set it up in a separate account, it's wonderful how you don't second judge. So if you want to go travel to Europe or you want to do something, I got to pull that out of my account. Am I going to run out of money? What should I do? If they say, well, listen, no, I got $6,000 in the travel account that we set up. Out of another set checking account, they spend it and they tend to enjoy themselves. Again, leading back to you got plenty of money, go and spend it and enjoy yourself. That's kind of the key. Enjoy it. Enjoy that big adventure.
Seriously, that's a great idea.
That is a challenge. It is a challenge to get people who can spend to spend.
Yeah. Well, this is a great overview of your entire process. What are your closing thoughts for today?
My closing thoughts. I guess I'll close with this. It's so important for people to become educated. I know you hear that all the time with me, but again, education is my mantra. So many people are so worried about being sold that they won't become educated. I don't care if you got the best plan in the world. It might just need a little tweaking, right? And you want to find that out now before something big happens. Listen, go to my website, duckduckplan.com. We have tons of resources on there. I already mentioned the Duck Book. I'd be happy to mail that out to you. And we have a variety of other planning guides that you can actually order right from our website. We'll send that to you at no cost. I've got this incredibly awesome, it's called the Complete Solutions Toolkit. And it's about retirement. It helps you understand. So there's some great articles in there. There's a book in there. There's a retirement checklist. And I have an awesome, I think it's like 18 or 19 bullet points. It's called the Retirement Checklist. It'll let you understand, hey, maybe I should be looking at some other things that may or may not be able to help me. So I encourage you, go back to our website, check us out, and start getting a little information. And if it is just calling us and trying to order a pizza and see how wonderful, warm, and friendly our people are, that's the starting point, right? Because again, getting your ducks in a row it's so crucial, and we would love to help you with that.
Absolutely fantastic. I appreciate your time today, Scott. This was a great podcast. Love the overview. If people have questions and they want to email you or call in, can they find the number and the email also on the website?
Yeah, our telephone number's on the website. And actually, we have a scheduling link on the website. So you can actually click on the scheduling link. You don't even go to our website. You can go to letstalkscott.com, letstalkscott.com. And from that, it actually opens up my calendar. And you can actually just click on a time that's convenient for you, and you can schedule a 15-minute telephone call. Something easy, friendly, just an introductory call to know a little bit more about who we are, or maybe you just have one or two questions you want to ask. No commitment, just ask a couple questions. So you can book that 15-minute call. From that link, you can book a half-hour, 25-minute, whatever, Zoom meeting. Get in front of the computer. We can do a Zoom conversation. Get to know me a little better. Or, again, if you want to come in for a physical appointment, you can book a full 1-hour free consultation with us also. So, again, whatever's comfortable and easy for you, but it's right off our website. We'd love to be able to talk to you and help you any way we possibly can, because we truly do love helping people.
Scott, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for today's podcast. This is such great content, man.
Hey, thank you, Eric. I tell you what, I just love doing these podcasts. I'm so excited because this gives people one more way to maybe just to get to know me a little bit at an arm's length. They don't have to call us. They don't have to. It just helps them learn a little bit more about who we are, and hopefully, even with my cat jokes and all that kind of stuff, hopefully you want to talk further. And I would love to have that. So listen, I really appreciate, thanks much. And we'll talk to you next podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. And our last thank you, of course, goes to you, the listening audience. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to The Scotty Show with Scott Leonardi. If you have not subscribed to the podcast yet, please click the subscribe now button below. This way, when Scott comes out with a new podcast, it'll show up directly on your listening device. This makes it much easier to share these podcasts with your friends and family. And with all the educational content that Scott's going to be producing over the next year, 2 years, 17 years, however long this podcast run, you're going to want to share it with them so you guys can learn together. Again, thanks so much for listening today. For everyone at Complete Solutions, this is Eric Johnson reminding you, it's time to get your ducks in a row.
Thank you for listening to The Scotty Show. Remember, today is the first day of the rest of your life. Live life like it's your job. Click the subscribe button below to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Complete Solutions, Inc. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice, tax advice, or legal advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning.